Welcome to the Tick Tock Podcast. The clock is always ticking, so let's synchronize our watches and dive in. I'm your host, Callie Brigham, and I'm here to help you make time for what matters. Hey friends, welcome to a special, very special, extra special Friday bonus episode. It is Good Friday. That makes it that much more beautiful and sacred. And in addition to that, my guest today that I cannot wait for you to meet. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that my friend Dawn is like a big sister to me. And I realized that just recently because as an only child, I never had a big sister or big brother. And that was a really special relationship. But what I mentioned as well is that I have had a role for a couple of decades that I cherish and that I love. And it is as an honorary big sister to a little sister. Now, in the last couple decades, I've acquired a couple of other little sisters along the way. I just like to do that. But there is an OG. She is the OG little sister from another mister. And today I get to introduce you to everybody. And, when I think about our lives intertwining, we've been through a lot together. We've been through a lot of which will not be shared on today's podcast episode to protect the innocent or not so innocent. But when I think about Cherisse Hixson, I think that I do not deserve Cherisse in my life because she has given me so much grace, so much love, so much honor. And even though she knows me so well, and that's how I say it, she knows me so well and she still gives me grace and love and honor. And it is my privilege to turn that back around today and to honor her by having her today. So, Cherisse Hixson, welcome to the Tick Tock Podcast. Can you believe it?
I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Can't believe it. We always pray right before we click record. And I said, what an exciting privilege, an unexpected privilege in having a podcast that in the middle of a busy day, in the middle of a busy week, in the middle of a busy month, in the middle of a busy life, that Cherisse, you and I today get to press pause and we get to have a conversation, just the two of us and, thousands of other listeners, but just the two of us because we lead such busy lives now that how cool that we get to just have an important and probably deep and special and maybe funny as well conversation today. So I'm so glad that you're on with me.
Thank you. I think we always do that. We always go deep right away, but then we always have lots of crazy things too.
Yeah, we might share one or two here today. So this is a really special couple of days for you. Of course, it's Good Friday, and we honor that, and Easter's a coming, right? It's Friday, but Sunday is a coming. But something really significant happened in your life yesterday. If you're listening in real time on March 28th, what just happened, Cherisse?
So excited. Yesterday, we launched my first ever podcast called Rhythms That Restore. I'm so excited to be able to honor and serve and so many women, encourage women, and just really share my story and share this journey that I've been on the last decade.
That's right. And we're going to talk a lot about that. And we're going to make time for that today. Our Friday episodes, we really get to talk about whatever we want, but this is going to be a significant opportunity to talk about taking time, making time, carving out time for, like you said, rhythms that restore. And before we talk about what was the catalyst for this and all the nerves, all the excitement, everything that's been going on, when I ask our guests to give me their title or who they are, I love, Cherisse, that you said believer, encourager, wife, boy mom, and we also do work together in Mary Kay, and you're a top sales director with the company of Mary Kay too. But I love how the order in which you put these things and the identity that comes along with this as well. So, and there's so much more to you as in addition to those things. But let's just dive in on this big old deal that is happening with you, and that is this podcast. I mean, it's a big stinking deal, and we are going to put it in the show notes, and I'm going to promote you, and I want everybody to listen, and I know what this is like, Cherisse, so they also need to give you a 5-star review. Those reviews are so important. So if they haven't given me one yet, give us both one at the same time. But Rhythms That Restore, we're going to put it in the show notes and how to follow you on Instagram. But let's just start there. What was the reason, the purpose? Because the theme of this is slowing down and finding that better pace. Tell us about it.
Yeah. It's so interesting. So the podcast launched on the 28th, and then it's Good Friday, and it's also my son's 6th birthday. And I feel like he has been, it's just so cool how God puts these beautiful miracles and blessings in our life, and it so refines us. And I feel like God just has taught me so much in and through his life. And that's really where the journey began. Even before that, when Drew was born, for about a decade, God's just really been refining my heart. And when I say refining, here's the visual I get. It's like sandpaper. I see the Lord just like sanding off rough edges, peeling back layers. And I even say it's like an unraveling of me. That's just the visual I have, that God has just taken this woman who has been so tightly wound, trying to control things and trying to, make it all happen, do what I need to do, but like just that's very much my personality. Like, I'm the oldest in my family, and, got to pave the way, got to do the things. And so I can tend to be a little bit control freak and high strung. And so I really just think the Lord has been in this process of changing my heart and helping me open my hands more in surrender and giving him that permission.
As you were talking, I thought, well, someone who starts a podcast called Rhythms That Restore probably went through some seasons and stages of life that were out of whack, that were not on beat, that felt like everything was falling apart. I have a feeling that, Cherisse, even if I didn't know you, but I was getting to know you and knowing that podcast title, I would say, I think this gal has been through some seasons that were completely upside down. And so I think of the hustle and the bustle and the busyness and identity crisis and the pace that might have been out of whack. So is that part of your story, and what led you to, and what has been leading you to want to reset this?
That's a great question. I think the biggest pivotal point I can remember in my story, looking back, I really think is when we had a good friend of ours who went to college with us, one of my husband's best buds in college, and he passed away of ALS. And y'all, we were young. We were in our 30s. And I think up until that point, I'm still really good at it, but I had just learned to push it down. Like, when feelings come up, what do? We push them down, push them back down, push them down, push them down, push them down. Because that's what healthy people do, is they push down their feelings. Not true. But I had done that. Because I'm like, I'm forging ahead. I can't feel it. Well, when that happened, I didn't know how to process that. And I didn't know how to grieve it. That was really my first opportunity of having a friend close to me pass away. And my body just kind of fell apart. And so I think that was my moment where it kind of all fell apart. I started dealing with anxiety, panic attacks, things I had never dealt with. I thought, what in the world? I am a positive person. I am strong in my faith. I shouldn't be dealing with this. What is happening? And it was something I couldn't control. And so God really had to bring me to my knees and say, now it's time for you to surrender to me. And so that began the process of learning to heal internally, my head, my heart, everything all together, and really learning that the pace I was living at, the habits that I had developed, unhealthy habits I had developed, were not serving me well. And they for sure weren't serving my family at the time. So yeah, it really did. That was a big part of my journey of, okay, what I'm doing wasn't working. What can I do to walk forward and be the best mom, be the best wife, and then just be the best me that God really had created? So
So
yeah.
where do you start, Cherisse? That is a big aha. That's a huge mountain,
Mhm.
especially if you've been wired a certain way, or whether it's wired by culture, whether it's wired by your environment, whether it's wired by birth order, all the
Mhm.
different things, or what you
Mhm.
thought you should be. Like, you don't just change overnight. I mean, sometimes you can. Honestly, some people do. They, like, completely walk one way and then they turn around and walk the other way. So when you know that and you know you're not healthy, you know you have to heal, how
Mhm.
did you start? What happened?
God placed some amazing people in my life, as only He can do. I mean, honestly, and you'll hear it. You'll hear more. I go into lots of detail on my podcast. I start with my story, and He placed women in my life, like in the most random places. In the nail salon, I think, is my very first moment where He just plopped me down next to this woman who would be pivotal in mentoring me, discipling me. She would introduce me to other women, bring me in. Like, I don't think I knew how broken and how starved for connection I was. And I also was a brand new mom with a 1-year-old and a husband who traveled the entire year. And I never knew when he was home or I never knew when he'd come home. He'd be gone 20, home 1, gone 30, maybe home 2. So there was just so much going on at that time. And so God knew this woman needs some safe women. She needs some people to surround her.
Don't you think, though, you had to come to a place where you could open your eyes to the people around you, though? Because, you know, God can place people around us in our path. We can stumble over them, but until we sort of have that breaking point, or until we have that awareness point, I don't know that we're quite ready. So today might be a day. Today might be a day for somebody listening that says, I cannot go on anymore. And today could be their first day, Cherisse. So these women were in your path, or a woman was in your path that was significant. What were some of the changes that you started, or even that you do now,
Mhm.
that allow you to slow down, that allow you to fill your cup up? What does that look like
Mhm.
for you personally?
Mhm. I remember my friend Debbie, and I share more about that too. Um, I remember her asking me, she's two funny things she asked me. Number one, she said, Cherisse, what do you do for fun? And I said, I work. I love working. It's what I love to do. And she said, okay, so what do you do for fun? I'm like, what is fun? I thought work was fun. I love it. Like, that's my connection. That's where I see women. That's what I do. And she was like, okay, what are your hobbies? And I was like, learning and reading leadership books. She was like, okay. I'm sure she thought, what a
She's
project
like,
I
"This
have
one's
here.
gonna take a lot of work." Literally work, not that kind of work.
I know she thought that. It was like she probably patted my head like, oh, bless her heart.
She cracked
So
her knuckles and said, "Alright, let's get busy with this one. We gotta loosen
yeah,
her up."
she did. So she knew when she asked the fun question that I was a struggle bus. And then she said something about margin. And I literally said this to her, Callie, I go, what is margin? What do you mean margin? She was like, do you allow margin in your calendar? I'm like, no. Why would that is unproductive. I would never allow for white space because that's not productive. And again, she was like, okay. Okay. So again, like that peeling back the layers. Like, this is a very tightly wound girl, obviously, who has no margin, who apparently doesn't have much fun either. And because I think I just had always worked in that zone of survival mode. I had been in that mode for so long that the question of margin felt very luxurious. Like, ooh, that's for other people, not for me. And the question of fun, again, I don't have fun. That's not for me. That's for other people, but that wasn't for me. So that was a learned. That's been this learning process, that it's okay to have fun and it's okay to have margin.
So sometimes the pendulum can swing all the way, right? So some people are all work, no play. Some people are all play or whatever word you want to substitute,
Mhm.
and never actually get the thing done. Is is there, like, to unwind, you have to wind, right? And to wind, you have to have you discovered, or are you discovering, is there some kind of middle ground? Like, is there a place where you can be both productive
Mm.
and you can also have times when you just are, or you're having fun, or you're
Mhm.
taking time for yourself? Is it possible to have somewhere in the middle? Or are we still working on that?
I am always a work in progress, always. Like, today's a perfect example. Like, yesterday, I was like, "Oh, feeling good. I got this." And then my son gets sick, and I'm like, "Okay, alrighty." So, but I am a pendulum swinger. I can be an all or nothing, and Callie knows that about me. Where I'm like, "Yes," and then all of a sudden, I'm like, "I've overcommitted," and now I'm done. And so, again, learning these healthy rhythms, like, that's not healthy, Cherisse. You can't be all over here or all over here. But what is that beautiful balance? And so I think offering grace to ourselves and giving ourselves that opportunity to say, okay, well, last week I tried this and that didn't work, or I tried this and it did work and that was good. So I'll keep that, but maybe I'll try this time. And yeah. So, and learning too, I think since January, I've been learning and asking myself the questions: what restores me? What restores me? And I honestly didn't know the answer to that. Like, what is restorative to me? Is that sitting and having time with the Lord in the morning? Is it going for a walk and being outside? Is it spending time with friends and pouring into them? Because sometimes that can be restoring, but sometimes it can be draining too. And so, knowing, what do I say yes to and what do I say no to?
All right, that I'm gonna circle. That may be going on our recap video right there. What restores me? Because that is an individual answer.
Mhm.
We cannot borrow that answer from somebody else. And you and
Mhm.
I are so close. We're so different. That's what makes us work. We need each other desperately for a variety of reasons. I need you. You need me. You can tell a story about when you needed me a couple years ago. A second. Okay, just tell it now. Just tell it now. You needed me, Cherisse. See, I need you for,
Ay,
well,
ay,
I
ay.
kinda feel like sometimes I am that, I'm the sandpaper on you too, and you're more like the, "Let me cover you with a soft fuzzy blanket." That's what you
Well,
do for me, and then I grab the sandpaper, I'm like, "Let's go. Give me your forehead,
uh,
I'm sanding you."
that is so true. That is so true. You know what? 4 years ago, when was 2020? Right? I mean, that's a for sure sandpaper moment when I called Callie and I was like, no. Y'all, I am an S personality. An S is an S is an S. I am slow to change. I love some routine. Woo, I love that. And so when we were forced to pivot and to change, I did not like that. And I did not think I could do it. And I called Callie and I said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And I was very at the bottom of the pit really then. And Callie said, you can do this, and spoke life into me and said, come on, come on. And looking back now, wow, am I grateful. You taught me to believe in myself. You taught me I can do hard things. Ugh. Even if I was kicking and screaming, you brought me along. And I am so grateful for that sandpaper because, again, it's that refining. And had I said no to that and learning new things, I wouldn't be here today.
Well, as you said that, I thought, yeah, you can do hard things. You just flippin' launched a podcast. And I can speak from experience. That is really hard. It is hard. It is hard with the technology. It is hard with, I mean, you
Ugh.
gotta come up with stuff to say that you think people will wanna listen to. You gotta come up with branding and I mean, you're not
Oh,
just somebody who talks into a mic. There's a
right.
thousand different things.
Mhm.
Girl, that was like your little appetizer. You can do hard things. You've done, like, the main entree now.
Yesterday was so perfect. I literally was doing another hard thing and I did my devotional and I'm like, okay, get my head right, get my head right. And then that wasn't good enough. And so then I'm like, Callie stopped me, go for a walk, go for a walk. So I'm like, I'm gonna get on the treadmill and I'm gonna walk. Y'all, I'm crying while I'm walking on the treadmill, crying. Like, like I thought this is weird. I'm supposed to be here to get endorphins. But again, like when you're doing hard things or God's moving you and you're doing it out of obedience, the feelings aren't always there. It doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it can feel really scary and your heart is beating and it's pounding and you're like, I am not equipped for this and I don't know if I can do it. And Lord, what are you thinking choosing me? Man, there's been so many parts of Callie and I's story, like when Callie moved to Florida, she left me in Memphis to take care of her people. And I thought, no, I am not equipped. I cannot do this. You cannot leave me. No, I cannot. And I've really, that's been a lot of our story, Callie. You just,
I
you just
just can't.
sandpaper
I'm
me.
sorry.
Yeah. It's just like God just, is it Elijah, Abraham? What is this? The
So
Elijah and
there's
Elisha?
Elijah and Elisha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So God's just gonna pull me out and take me away, and you're gonna be like, "Where'd you go?" But you know what happened? You know what happened is Elisha asked the Lord for a double portion of
Mm.
Elijah, and that's what I see, and that's what any big sister wants for her little sister in a healthy
Mm.
relationship is, like, do more, do better. Your giftings are so much in this relationship piece that I admire that, like, go farther, go deeper, way past, double past whatever I could do, and but Elisha had to go through some tough stuff and some junk to get there, and God, by the way, God answered his prayer. He said, "I'm
Mm.
gonna give you a double portion."
Mm.
Um, yeah, that is really interesting as we look back how nothing's wasted.
No.
It's training, it's lessons,
Mm.
it's preparation,
Right.
and now you can look back and none of that was wasted, but it was hard.
So hard. I mean, there's even more that we could share right now of things I did that were hard. And God has always used you to go before me and prepare that and to model that. And, isn't that interesting too? We don't always know how our obedience, I'm speaking of you, your obedience in walking forward in faith, your obedience in, okay, Lord, I'm going to keep walking forward and I don't know why, but I'm going to keep walking forward. We never know whose dream is attached to ours. And I'll always say that. You have always been willing to do the hard things and to walk forward. And so that not just I can benefit, but so many of the other women, especially the women that are listening today, we are impacted because of your obedience. And so thank you for always being willing to walk forward because we get to be in your wake. Like the Lord is using your obedience and your commitment to discipline to always give us that freedom to say, we can do it too. We can do it too. Okay.
This is so Cherisse, and why I said I don't deserve you because, for you to like this episode is about what you're learning in your podcast and all that, and you're turning around and pouring into me. And that's why I know your message is the message for right now. It's what women need. People out there do not have a Cherisse. Not everybody has one, and they need one, and they can have you bi-weekly. They can have you as you do that message if you're like, I need her. And I will say, Cherisse, that I think that I could do that because I had people in my life that were unconditional with me. Like, if it didn't work out and I'm going forward first and I'm falling, you're going to love me no matter what. And you're going to be there. So it works. It just works in all the different ways. And that's why that comparison that we can have, those feelings that we can have, the not knowing like who we're supposed to be, all of that, that's not part of this. That's we're releasing that, we're healing from that. We're just not going there anymore.
Nope. Because that's where the enemy would love to do that. He would love to get us caught in our own mind.
That's right.
Because then he stifled our story. That's a good one.
Ooh,
put that on a bumper sticker.
I was going to say, or put that as a podcast topic. So I really want to ask you, Cherisse, what are some of the topics? What are some of the things that you're going to be unpacking for people in your podcast? I know you are a learner, and see, God's using that because you're willing to put in the work to educate yourself, to really dive deep into how women can restore their rhythm. So what are some of the things that you're going to be sharing?
Definitely. Yeah, I do. I love to learn. Oh my goodness. I'm like such a nerd. I'm a podcast nerd. I love to listen to Audible, love learning from others. I just love reaching up. So we're going to talk, I'm just going to be sharing some stories. Really, it's a lot of my story of growth and who has impacted me and what they've taught me along the way through community, discipleship, some spiritual rhythms that really Jesus models beautifully and that I didn't know anything about. And so that I've been walking through some self-discovery, learning a lot of things through counseling and through healing, a lot of things about boundaries and learning to say no.
I feel like I'm not your counselor or therapist, but in 20 years, I think maybe a couple times I've tried to help you say no to things or have boundaries. Has that helped at all? Or maybe
When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
the teacher's been here. No,
that's right. The student wasn't ready. I know. I'm still learning that. And that's why I love that. I am not really like I'm on this journey with everyone. I wanted to make sure that my friends and listeners knew that, hey, I am not perfect. I haven't mastered this. And you're welcome to walk alongside of me as we do, right? None of us have arrived. And it's so much sweeter when we can learn these lessons together, right? Callie and I always say that we're better together. We're better together. And none of us were meant to carry these burdens and these loads by ourselves at all. At all. Last night, actually, I had the weirdest thing happen at 2 a.m. I could not sleep. I couldn't sleep, Callie. I was up. So I ended up getting up. I walked to my little quiet time chair in the dark. I wrote 2 pages of notes in the dark that the Lord put on my heart about, that song by Cody Carnes, Run to the Father. I couldn't get it off my heart. Run to the Father. Time out, just we're not meant to carry that burden that we've carried so far on our own. We're just not meant to. We're meant to open our hands and surrender. We're meant to walk together in community through life's valleys and peaks.
Yeah. When I was preparing for our conversation today, I told you this earlier, I just kind of off the top of my head for my heart, I said, okay, so Cherisse is starting this podcast, Rhythms That Restore. And I said, what's it about? Like to my own self. It's about slowing down, finding a better pace, making time for the Lord, filling your cup, having boundaries, eliminating the hustle and bustle and busyness of life, and finding your identity once you do that. So, is there anything that you want to share with us as we wrap up our first of hopefully many conversations, an encouragement for women, or even a practical tip, that they could start from? Maybe there's a starting place today,
Mhm.
besides tuning in to your podcast,
Yes.
a starting place today that they can say, all right, I'm never gonna forget Good Friday, Easter weekend. Like, this is what my commitment, my new beginning, my refreshment's gonna be.
Mm. I would say to really be coming to a place today where you say, I am enough simply as I am right now. I am enough. I can come to the Father right now with my arms open and say, Lord, you aren't asking me to do anything else except be me and come to you, however I am at this moment. If I'm broken, if I'm, whatever. And just saying, I am enough and I'm running to you. And I want to hear from you. Jesus just asks us to simply be with him and look to him. And so I think opening your head and your heart and your mind to being with him, to learning from him, I think that's the best place to start.
It's such a timely message. On a day like today, he did all the work for it. He did all the work.
Yeah.
And all
Right.
we have to do is receive the gift.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He didn't ask us to do anything.
Mm-mm. No,
Just
he did it.
accept him.
He did
Mm-hmm.
it for us. Yeah, and we just come. We come as we are.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's why you were supposed to be up in the middle of the night, so you could share that thought with us today.
Whew. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Cherisse, 2 last things. I'm gonna give you a gift that I give to my guests. It's not a real gift, although you deserve it, and I'm sure you're being on my podcast, you'll probably still send me a gift. No, you don't have to send me a gift. That's just kidding.
Probably.
I know. Um, there is a thank you note that will be sent to you. Okay, but no. But the gift is the idea of a bonus hour, which when you're in a season where there's no rhythm and no restoration, wow, a bonus hour would be great. But now you, I'm sure, have been able to carve out some of those. So this is an extra one on top of all that.
Mm.
What would you do with an extra hour?
Mm. What would I do or what would I want to do?
Yes, either one.
I would say in this season, I am really learning, as always, how to slow down and how to have margin. And I really think I would challenge myself to use that hour to go outside and sit in the hammock. I never do that. It's like one of those things I'm like, I have this beautiful hammock and it's always sitting there saying, you don't use me. But just to sit and to bask and to reflect on, Lord, what have you given me? What have you given me? What is mine to do? And how can I come to you? I think that would so restore my soul and so would recharge me.
So, Cherisse, as your big sister, I'm going to tell you what to do.
Okay.
Go sit in that hammock. And when you do, take a little selfie. Like, don't look on your phone, but just take one selfie. Okay, just one.
Okay.
And then send it to me, and then I'm going to share it in our
Okay.
community to say Cherisse did it.
A little accountability. That's
Little
right.
accountability never hurt anybody.
That's right.
All right, you can give a gift back now, and that is the gift of just one funny story. Now you can't tell the stories of Beale Street back when we were single,
Oh
ready to
boy.
mingle. Okay,
Oh
we're not
boy.
doing that. But you can tell the story of, our leadership conference back in, I don't know, maybe 2021,
Mhm.
where you were a little tightly wound.
Woo.
This will be a fun way to end.
I know. Oh, y'all. So, number one, I hadn't left the house in a year, and I didn't even wanna come. Callie was like, You're coming. You're coming." I'm like, "Oh, fine, fine." She said, "Do you want to room with me?" I was like, "I can't even do that. I can't even do that. I'll room next door." I was, again, a little uptight. And so we get there, did all the testing and all that to be allowed to come in. And
Yeah, because
I
this
don't
is 2021, so we had to do all
Mhm.
the you know what tests, yep.
All the things. I don't even know what I said. Do you remember what I said? And
I don't know, I don't even know if we were sitting in the first kinda little general assembly area
Mhm.
at the conference, and I don't even know that you said anything. You might have just had a look on your face, or you might have you might not have even said anything. I think your face said it all. You were a little tightly wound, a little bit.
Yes. Yes, and I just, I just didn't wanna do anything. I think I was just all that energy was pent up inside of me, and I think Callie, again, just as a big sister, was like, "Girl, you gotta learn to chill out." But do you wanna say, in big sisterly advice, tell them what you had to tell me?
God forgive me, but it was the only way I knew to do it, and I looked at you, I said, "Cherisse, you need to chill the hell out."
And y'all, we died laughing because it was the truth. It was the truth. And so now I think that that is it should become a hashtag in between Callie and I. It should be a bumper sticker that I live by, like Cherisse. That's just what you need to, because I should all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think you also turned to me and you said, Matt's your husband. You're like, "Matt would love that you just said that to me."
Yeah.
Matt would be like, "Please, please do
He did. I told him and he was like, "Amen. Amen, sister."
that."
So maybe everyone can hold me accountable in that. Feel free to message me anytime and tell me that, because I probably do need to hear it. So I
You
love
can
it.
say, chill the heck out, chill the H
Yeah.
out."
Yeah.
Um, oh gosh, Cherisse. Well, you're gonna go do that in your hammock,
Yep.
and that's where you're gonna chill,
Yep.
and you're gonna remember that, and, that's why God is so good, to put people in our lives that we need
Mhm.
in the exact time that we need them,
Right.
and I will say we had a great rest of our conference. I
Yep.
mean, you really did. You took it to heart, you chilled out, and we had
I
an
did.
amazing time.
I did.
Yeah,
And that's why it's good to have girlfriends in your life that they're safe friends that you allow to speak truth in love. And that was 100% truth and love all wrapped into one.
it was. And a
Yep.
little tiny sandpaper, just a tiny bit.
Always.
Oh, Cherisse, this has been, just so special to be able to share this platform with you and to literally now share the podcasting platform with you.
Mhm.
So, you guys, everybody go check out brand new podcast, Rhythms That Restore. You can follow Cherisse. You're gonna definitely wanna check out the show notes because you will misspell her last name, Cherisse Hixson. You'll probably misspell her first name too.
Yep. Yep.
So, Cherisse Hixson, go follow her on all the things. And, Cherisse, you are just a gift. You're the best little sis I could ever ask for. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
on today.
Thank you.
God bless you guys. Happy Good Friday. Happy Easter. And seriously, God bless you today. Thank you for joining me on the TikTok podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and leave a 5-star review. Your feedback fuels our mission to help you master your time. Set your alarm for our next episode, and until then, make every moment count.